here's Brody Brazil.
What Major League Baseball has just announced is honestly something that we all expected would exactly happen for the last year and a half or so. Starting in 2026, MLB will go official with ABS, as in automated balls and strikes. Presented by T-Mobile, by the way. But when people hear ABS, automated balls and strikes, all the casual fan can think of are robo-umps. And like every single ball and strike being determined by a computer and not a human being. That's not at all what's going on here. In fact, I think this is a good change for the game of baseball. This is yet another thing that I can't believe, honestly, they're actually moving forward with, because I do think this will help key and critical situations and moments in baseball games. But go back to the year 2010, 15 years ago. Think about all the technology and things you never could have expected baseball actually saying yes to. Like a clock in between innings to hustle up the games so that they weren't going 3 hours and 45 minutes apiece. A timer in between pitches for that very same reason. Not just the length of the game, but now the pace of the game has been accelerated. And clocks on baseball fields, that was something for decades that was always like a never going to happen idea and concept. Well, now it very much is. Limitations on pickoffs. You can't even disengage more than a few times per batter and per runner, like on first or second base. There's now 6 total wildcard teams. I remember when there was a first, and then they expanded even beyond that. We've got the ghost runner and extra innings. You can't do a defensive shift anymore. That's been banned for, a couple years now. No more pitchers hitting. That's right. The DH is league-wide. The National and American League don't really have any rule differences anymore. There's a 3-batter minimum. If you're a relief pitcher, you come in. You can't just face one and then have somebody else come in. And expanded instant replay, which I think was about the 2014 season. You can challenge things, right? You can have the manager or people in the dugout do this symbol, and that means, hey, umpires, put the headsets on and talk to New York. But go back 15 years. Think about all this. Like, everything here was tested and was diligently thought out. And I know that not everybody agrees with all of this, especially the ghost runner. I get it. But I think all of these changes have brought the desired result of making baseball a little bit better in certain regards. And so that brings us to this ABS system, which, if there is any criticism, I don't know that there should be. It's been tested. You haven't heard many complaints about it. You don't hear much outrage about it. I think enough people have seen it. More on that in just a second. The ABS system uses Sony's Hawkeye technology, which is already full steam in tennis, and it has been for years. This year, starting with the NFL, they're doing first downs with the Hawkeye system, not with the chain gang anymore. You can see the chain gang still out on the field. That's kind of a backup system for now. But Hawkeye is the primary way that they're determining first downs in football. So a challenged ball and strike in baseball, this should be easy, right? This technology instantly provides a ruling for a pitch. Is it a ball or a strike? Where did it miss? And by how much? It literally is that simple, that black and white. But it's not every pitch, right? I want to make clear that if you're a casual fan or you don't understand this, that's part of this video. I want to explain this is only for pitches that get challenged, right? And this is going to be the challenge symbol, hand on the head. By the way, only the pitcher, the catcher, and the batter can actually challenge these pitches. Nobody in the dugout can, nobody in the field can. But again, only pitches that get challenged are sent to Hawkeye, and it gives you an instant gratification. Ball or strike, confirmed or overturned. Each team gets 2 challenges to start a game. You get to keep those 2 challenges so long as you're correct. You challenge and you're wrong, you lose that challenge. Now you're down to 1. You challenge, you're wrong, you lose that second challenge. Now you have no more. Until, by the way, you get to extra innings. There are additional chances with every extra inning. I do want to point that out. So if you have none and we get to the 10th, you get 1 for the 10th. Now, if you don't use it, you still only have 1 for the 11th. But if you use your challenge in the 10th and you're wrong, you still do get another challenge for the 11th. Like, you get reloaded with challenges every single extra inning. So that understood, only the batter or pitcher or the catcher can initiate the challenge with the head tap, hand on the head. A Major League Baseball survey. So I want to be clear, this is something baseball did to confirm the decision and the direction they were going. Their own survey says that 72% of fans at spring training from this last year thought ABS, no, not abs, thought ABS, not like somebody's abs, had a positive impact on the experience of the game. 72% thought that ABS was a positive thing for the experience. And like I said, this has been tested for several years now at AAA, at the highest level of minor league baseball. They did it for a lot of games this past spring training in Arizona and Florida. They did it during the 2025 All-Star Game, so you could see this train coming down the tracks. This was inevitable that what they've announced is exactly how it was going to play out. This would absolutely happen for the 2026 baseball season. But I want to point out here, so we're only doing these challenges for select pitches. To me, it kind of feels like we're really only going to see this for a couple different scenarios. Strike 3, which was not strike 3, ball 4, which was not ball 4, or let me throw in the extra one here. A pitch that was so egregiously called that you can't let it go. Like it's a 1-1 pitch and it misses like crazy and the umpire calls it a strike. You probably want to look back and just say, sorry, we got to look at that one. And if you're sure, you keep your challenge, no big deal, 10 seconds on the review. Yep, that was a ball, not a strike, whatever, or the other way around. My point is, we're only going to see this on pitches that define the at-bat, right? Like, you're not going to see this on a 1-1 pitch that just misses the outside, paints the black, but is called a ball and maybe could have been called a strike. I don't think you're going to see that level of nitpicking. I do think that you're going to see teams value their challenges and not want to use these challenges unless they absolutely know that they're going to be in the right on this. So again, only in critical pitches, only when the batter or the pitcher or catcher thinks that they've been wronged. Or, like I said, if it's such a crazy call, middle of a count, like a mid-count type situation, it might be used then too. Will all of this reduce pitch framing, right? Like if it's a 2-2 count and it's one right on the outside and it's a strike, or it's a ball and the catcher's trying to make it a strike, the catcher's going to look foolish doing all that framing, and then the batter's like, yeah, no, that was a ball the entire time. Everybody watch this. So I wonder what this is going to do to pitch framing on the whole. Like maybe in certain select scenarios, you won't see, like for a ball 4 or a strike 3, you won't see a catcher really trying to sell something. What's the point? If they sell it to the umpire, that's great. But if it gets overturned by the batter, like we're about to see how this plays out. We haven't done this at scale yet, so I don't know. That's why there's a question mark there. Will it reduce pitch framing? Will it change pitch framing? Probably. I just don't know exactly how that's going to play out. How about the strike zone? So, the human eye for the umpire uses a strike zone of what? The letters to the knees and the width of the plate, and every umpire's different. We have some with a larger strike zone, some with a smaller strike zone, but with a computer, we can tell it exactly what we want it to do in terms of defining the strike zone. So the width of home plate, 17 inches. You knew that, right? The depth of home plate, 17 inches, right? Basically a square, 8.5 plus 8.5. Yeah, that's 17 inches. So the width and the depth, 17 inches. But it's really the height of the batter. Now, they're not doing this with standard heights for every single batter. What they've done is measure every single batter. They know the height of every major league hitter. And then they do the strike zone batter by batter. So, Jose Altuve and Aaron Judge are absolutely going to have different strike zones. But it starts with percentage. 27% of your height is the bottom end of the strike zone. 53.5% is the height of the top end of the strike zone. So if you're taller, bigger strike zone. Smaller, well, smaller strike zone. And it's all done by percentage of your height. So it's not standard heights. It's not, it's as it should be with the human eye and with human umpires, but this is very scientific. 27% to the knees, basically, and 53.5% to the letters or armpits on the jersey. So that's how they're going to calculate this automated strike zone. They did the testing in 2024, so this is last AAA baseball season, 740 games with the ABS system. They did use the 2-challenge limit. They averaged 3.9 challenges per game. The 50% overturn ratio, that's important. You don't want it to be a 90% overturn ratio or even a 75. That means the humans are getting it so bad that basically the computers will take over. Or you also don't want this to be a 10% overturn, because then it's like, well, The humans are always right. Why are we even doing the ABS system? 50% is really that sweet spot of where that overturn ratio should be. 2.5% of called pitches were challenged, and each challenge lasted 16.6 seconds. So what, 4 challenges a game, 16 seconds? We're talking about a minute at most to get things right. In 2025, this year, when they tried with the Major League Spring Training, they did 288 games between Arizona and Florida. They didn't do the challenge limit because they wanted people to experiment with it. 4.1 challenges per game. So honestly, nobody really abused it. 52.2% overturn ratio. Again, that's just kind of a happy number in medium because you want this to be that sweet spot. You want this to be in the area of, we don't know, should we not? You want to keep it right around 50-50. 2.6% of called pitches were challenged, and they cut the time down on getting a verdict. Only 13.8 seconds per challenge. So this doesn't take very long. Let me get to my takeaways, beginning with this. In my belief, in my observation, in my experience of trying things and sometimes rushing things, that wasn't the case here. They tested this in all the right ways. Minor league baseball, Major League Spring Training, even an all-star game. I don't hear much backlash. I don't hear much complaint from fans, and most importantly, from players and managers. Sounds good. And maybe when it goes full steam next year, we will hear some people say, well, I don't like this or it's different, but that's fine. You would know right now if something were really wrong about this. We are still going to have the human element of bad ball and strike calls. Like, for example, it's that 1-1 pitch or the 0-1 pitch or the first pitch of an at-bat where you're like, I don't know if that was a strike or ball, but you're also not going to have the batter or the pitcher or catcher challenge it. It's too early. You can't challenge everything. You're going to save this for the key moments of the game, like an at-bat that should never end in something awful. Called strike 3. Oh my gosh, it wasn't even close. And that's how the game ends. A game will never end that way again. And in my opinion, that's a really good thing. But I do want to point out, if we're only challenging 2, 3, 4% of pitches, that's so many other pitches that are still going to be determined by a human being standing behind the catcher and behind home plate. Very much still at play here is the human element of Major League Baseball. This probably doesn't need to be sponsored by T-Mobile. And by the way, I mentioned that at the very beginning of the video here, but something that is a part of the fabric of the game, like calling balls and strikes and now having a computer do it and having that information being transmitted on T-Mobile's 5G network, it seems a little bit weird to have this as a sponsored element already. Like, let's make sure people like it. Let's make sure this is a genuine thing before we slap a sponsor on it. It's kind of weird that it comes instantly with a sponsor. But again, I think the main thing are good things about the ABS system. For example, when they use this, it's going to happen instantly. It's quick gratification on the screen of the broadcast. On the big screens at the stadium, you're going to instantly see. Everybody's going to know, is that a ball or a strike? You don't need an umpire to get on a mic. This is not like the replay review challenge. This is instantaneous. We'll know right and wrong. This is not a bad thing for Major League Baseball. I know some people are just against change and they are against technology, but I think when we witness this, I think we're all going to like it. But let me know what you think about this in the comments section below. Also, thumbs up while you're down there helps me, this video, this channel. And don't forget, oops, I've already done that. Don't forget to subscribe. I would definitely love to see you back here next time.